I want to start out by saying I'm 52. I'll be 53 in a couple days, and I have a 6-year-old daughter who many of you have seen running around here with the red hair, which we don't know where it came from. But I offer my comments today based on my faith, my belief in God, my belief in Jesus as my Savior, and my belief in the Bible. Yet I know some of you have other beliefs in other religions, and I respect that. So this is about my beliefs, and I want to give you my basis. But also based on science. Yes, science. We live in a broken world, and to me, no legislation or attorney can alter the law to make morality right and morality wrong. I'm not one who's going to be silent for the unborn children that will be sentenced to death should this legislation pass. You can't hide the aggressive overhaul of our Declaration of Independence. To me, every human being is entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, the first of which is life, which is given to us by our Creator. And an innocent life should never be taken. It is listed first as a precursor to each of the following. Liberty, your rights end where another's rights begin. That is another living human being inside of you. You have been given the gift of life, and now you are responsible for not violating the natural liberty of your son or daughter. The pursuit of happiness is not something you can take away from that life. They deserve a chance at happiness, the same as any of us in this room. Over 4 in 10 pregnancies in New York City end in abortion. Someone asked if they knew the percentages. I do. 60% of African American pregnancies end in abortion. Hispanics in the Bronx face 50% abortion rates. 87,000 young lives died in New York City alone. Upstate New York has an abortion rate of 29%. That's where I'm from. About 110,000 abortions occurred in New York State last year. To me, this is a cry for help. This is abortion on demand. This is infanticide. We should not derail an entire women's equality package to increase these numbers. According to Alexander Saras, an associate professor from Yale and the American Medical Association, in 25 days the heart chamber develops. In 32 days, 7 days later, arms and hands begin developing. 36 days, that's 4 more days, begins the vertebrae's development. The first 5 weeks are the most rapid development in this child's life in the womb. At 45 days, the heart is beating twice as fast as the mother's. At 51 days, the retinas, nose, and fingers develop. That is just the first 51 days. You can still receive an abortion for another 125 days. Spine, heart, eyes, hands, they mean a lot to me. According to the Mayo Clinic...
Ms. Peoples, why do you stand?
Mr. Speaker, I was wondering if Mr. DiPietro would yield for a question.
I will after I'm done, Mr. Speaker. Not yet.
He will not yield.
Okay. According to the Mayo Clinic, at week 18, the baby will begin to hear. At week 20, the baby will begin to move. A week later, the baby can swallow. A week later, the baby will develop taste buds. And at week 24, the baby is growing real hair. All of this development occurs during the period where an abortion is still an option. How is this fair to life? We often hear, it's my body, and I'll do whatever I want with it, and I have that right. But yet, we regulate right here in this chamber the day-to-day activities of New Yorkers every single day. You have to wear a helmet to ride a bicycle, motorcycle, and as of today, while riding a horse until you're 18. You cannot purchase cigarettes to put in your body until you're 18. You cannot purchase alcohol until you're 21. You can't drive until you're 16. You have to wear a seatbelt in the car, and you can't talk on the phone or text in the car. You can't do drugs. You can't be a prostitute. You can't smoke in bars or in restaurants. But when it comes to the protection of human life in the womb, suddenly this place has nothing to say. Abortion to many is just a word associated with choice. But do any of you really know how abortion is performed? There are two different categories in which an abortion can be performed. The first is via pharmaceuticals. This method causes an intentional miscarriage and is used in 17% of abortions in 2008. This method does come with risk of hemorrhage, an incomplete abortion, uterine or pelvic infection, ongoing intrauterine pregnancy, requiring a surgical abortion for completion, and unrecognized ectopic pregnancy. I hope none of you have eaten recently, because the vast majority of abortions are handled in a manner so gruesome, unfitting of the world's lone superpower, let alone the state of New York. Through the first 100 to 110 days, twice the time it took for this child to gain retinas, a nose, fingers, it can be terminated via vacuum aspiration. This can be done manually or electronically. A cannula or a tube is inserted into the womb, and an electric pump or manual pump creates such a suction that the baby is sucked from the womb and killed. A baby that has just developed eyelids and legs and is unmistakably human has been sucked into a vacuum like dust on the living room carpet. Make no mistake, at a certain point in this life, babies have the ability to feel pain. The second most common form of surgical abortion is the curettage method, in which an instrument is inserted into the womb and scrapes the walls of the uterus of any trace of human life. The instrument used is the same type of instrument used by the dentist to clean tartar off your teeth. The instrument is called a curette. A new life is removed from a woman in the same manner that tartar is scraped from your teeth. The third manner is a horrific combination of the vacuum method and the curettage method. I have it written here, but I don't even know if I want to go into it, because it gets me a little up. It resembles forceps and a pair of scissors. Ends that resemble pliers are inserted in the womb to clear out any remaining pieces of the infant. This method can be used up until the 24th week. At that point, the baby has ears, the sex has been determined, the baby has fingerprints. What else makes something human than a fingerprint? Eyebrows, eyelids, bone is forming from cartilage and weighs over a pound, and most times can live outside the womb. How many more features does it take to count this as life? Over 50 million abortions have been performed in the United States since Roe v. Wade. That is over 1 million abortions a year. This is infanticide, and we can no longer afford to expand the government's war on the unborn baby boys and girls. After hearing everything of what the child looks like and how they develop, I'm trying to change your hearts. I can't stand for a society that allows infants to be sucked through vacuums like the dust from the carpets of our offices, or scraped from uterine walls like tartar from teeth. I will not stand for the killing of innocent lives. That is my belief. And while I don't know if I can reach out to everyone, I do pray that at some point we can change some hearts and minds. Let us push back the government's war on the unborn. Let us make this a watershed moment in time where we say 50 million dead is too many. I support 9 of the 10 planks and would have liked to perform an action similar to the Senate and hold up each piece of legislation and allow it to pass or fail based on its own merit. Sadly, well, first, I have actually written and sponsored one of the 10 platforms. Some of you know that I and my family, my wife, have been involved with human trafficking efforts to the point where we will be doing mission trips. So I do support a lot of these efforts. This is the one I can't. We must not leverage women's equality on the backs of unborn children. The governor and this body should have taken these planks up individually. I would like to leave you with a statement from someone who has made history throughout the world, and many of you have referenced today. I'm going to read something from her, and you'll know who it is right away. It says, "Most of you won't recognize me or my real name. It's Norma McCorvey. I am also known as Jane Roe, the plaintiff in the Supreme Court case Roe versus Wade. which legalized abortion in America and changed our nation in an unprecedented way. Back in 1973, I was a very confused 21-year-old with one child and facing an unplanned pregnancy. At the time, I fought to obtain a legal abortion, but the truth be told, I have 3 daughters and have never had an abortion. This is Jane Roe, people. However, upon knowing God, I realized that my case, which legalized abortion on demand, was the biggest mistake of my life. You see, abortion has eliminated 50 million innocent babies in the U.S. alone since 1973. Abortion scars an untold number of post-aborted mothers, fathers, and families too. You read about me in history books, but now I'm dedicated to spreading the truth about conserving the dignity of all human life from natural conception to natural death. That's Jane Roe. I'll not vote against my conscience. And sentence another 110,000 infants to death. That burden is too much to bear. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.